Welcome back, guys, to the College Treehouse. So you're deciding whether to take the SAT or the ACT. The two tests are quite different, and today I want to help you guys understand which one to take better with a short quiz. Once again, my name is Mehmet. I'm a current Stanford student. I took both the SAT and the ACT multiple times. It was a journey, and so I've gained some experience and also understand the new versions of these exams as well and how that changes things. So we're going to keep track of points. Everyone is going to start at 0 points, and you're just going to follow along the 10 questions and answer these questions to the best of your ability. And sometimes you're going to add points to your score, or sometimes you're going to not change your score. It'll stay constant. To preface this video, this questionnaire I'm about to give you should not replace taking practice tests for both the SAT or the ACT. If you're truly unsure of which one would be better for you, take practice tests for both. That is the most important thing, and see which one you like and you do better in. However, this test will hopefully give you more insight into which one you could like more. This test is very broad and definitely should not replace taking practice tests for both exams. The only way you'll know which ones to be better at is by taking those practice exams. That really does help. Alright, let's get ready with our first question. When you're taking an exam, do you prefer questions that require a more of an in-depth analysis that requires critical thinking, or do you prefer more straightforward questions but you do get decently less time per question? So which one do you prefer? If you prefer harder questions with more time, add 2 to your score. If you prefer more straightforward questions but with less time, add 0 to your score. Once again, if you have a lower score, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. Higher or lower doesn't mean good or bad in this case. Second question, would you rather take your exam paper pencil or digitally on a computer? And once again, the exam is still going to be proctored, so you're going to be traveling to a testing center and taking the test with a proctor in the room. If you prefer taking the test paper pencil, add 0 to your score. If you prefer taking the exam digitally, add 1 to your score. Alright, question 3. Again, remember to keep track of your total points. Would you rather take a longer exam with more questions, but there's also more room for error, and so you can lose more points and still get a good score? Or would you rather take a shorter exam, but each question matters more? If you prefer a longer exam, add 2 points to your score. If you prefer a shorter exam, add 0 to your score. Fourth question, and this one is related to reading. Would you rather prefer reading a longer block of text, such as a chapter in a book, or would you rather prefer reading shorter bits of information, like maybe a short news story? If you would more prefer longer blocks, add 0 to your score. If you'd more prefer short bits, add 1 to your score. Question 5. Would you prefer an exam where the questions might get a little bit harder as you do better, but there's more room for reward? Or would you prefer an exam that's linear, so same questions for the same students? If you'd prefer the exam format where the questions might get a bit harder, but you get more reward, add 1 to your score. If you prefer the linear exam where they're all the same, add 0 to your score. Question 6. Do you feel comfortable enough with math to the point where you can handle open-ended questions, such as writing in your own answer, or would you want all of those questions on math to be multiple choice? If you're comfortable enough to handle some open-ended questions, add 1 to your score. If you want them to be all multiple choice, add 0 to your score. Question 7. Still on the topic of math, do you prefer more algebra, so core algebra content, or do you prefer a more diverse array of math, such as also geometry or statistics and others? If you're more comfortable just with algebra or algebra-related topics, add 2 to your score. If you also prefer a more broad range, such as geometry and statistics, add 0 to your score. Question 8. Do you consider yourself strong in English vocabulary? If you think you're strong in English vocabulary, you've got a good grip, add 1 to your score. If you're not thinking so, add 0 to your score. Question 9. This one's super straightforward. Science or math? Pick one of the two. If you prefer science, add 0 to your score, but if you prefer math, add 2 points to your score. Question 10. Most high schools offer an in-person exam for free that you can take your junior year. Does your school offer the SAT version of this free exam or the ACT version of this exam? If your school offers the SAT version, add 2 points to your score. If your school offers the ACT version, add 0 points to your score. And if your school offers neither, for somewhat other case, or you're international in that case, add 1 point to your score. Alright, that was a short exam. Definitely much shorter than the SAT or the ACT, but let me help you understand what your score means. Hopefully you have a total number that you've gotten along the way. And so look at your total score number. If your score is between a 0 and a 7, you would be more well suited to take the ACT. And if your score is ranging from an 8 to a 15, you're more well suited for the SAT. And the higher the score, the more well suited you are in general for the SAT. So if you're really near 0, 1, 2, I think based on how the exams are different, how they're structured differently, the content they focus on, you could potentially do better on the ACT. But if you did higher on the test, an SAT might be better. But I want to emphasize, the most important thing is that you take practice tests for both the SAT and the ACT. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And comment, what score did you get? And compare with others. All right, see you next time.